Good morning. My name is Elizabeth Lopez. I'm an International Admissions Counselor here at the University of California, Riverside. Today, myself and my colleague, Becky Kyles from the International Student Resource Center, are going to have a small international student webinar and a chat session. And we're going to cover the following topics for you guys this morning. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about how do I get my I-20? And then Becky from our International Student Resource Center will cover the following topics: transferring your CVIS record to UC Riverside, applying for your F1 student visa, preparing for your move to Riverside, mandatory events, international student resources. We're going to talk about our next webinar, which is taking place August 5th, and if you haven't already, you should have received an email regarding that. We'll give you our contact information, and then we'll allow at least 30 minutes for questions and answers. So if you guys have any questions at the end of this presentation, we'll give you time to ask those questions, and then we'll also have time to respond to those questions. So let's talk about how do I get my I-20. First of all, we need to make sure to completely fill out the correct date, you need to make sure to completely and correctly fill out, date, and sign your Form I-20 paperwork. Once you have done so, don't forget to include a copy of your passport pages and your original financial support documents. You'll be able to find all these documents on your MyUCR account under My Documents. You should have also received a copy of your Form I-20 packet with your admission letter in the mail. However, if you didn't receive it or you may have lost or misplaced it, you can go again into your MyUCR account and download that. Okay, so once you finished your Form I-20 packet and have sent it to our office, please allow at least 10 business days for us to process it. If you are a CVIS transfer, then please be sure to include your transfer release date on the form. Do not guess the date. Please ask whoever is in charge of releasing you at your current campus to give you an accurate date. Once your documents are received by our office, we will clear this and it will reflect on your MyUCR account. If for some reason you see it incomplete, we will be following up with an email notifying you why your form is incomplete. However, if you have further questions, feel free to contact our office directly. You will then receive an email notifying you if anything is missing or incorrect. Again, please be sure to be checking your MyUCR account and your emails frequently so you don't miss any of these messagings. Once you receive your email that your I-20 is ready to be shipped, be sure to respond how you would like us to ship it and where you would like it sent. If you prefer to pick up your I-20, still respond to the email notifying us of a day and a time you'd like to pick up your I-20, but also be sure to include and bring a form of ID. So a passport, a California ID, any type of ID that's going to notify you matching you with your I-20. Next, Becky Kyles here from our International Student Resource Center is going to talk to you about transferring your CVIS record.
Hello there. My name is Becky Kyles, and I'm an International Student Advisor here in the International Student Resource Center at UC Riverside. So before you can get your I-20, if you actually are a current student who's attending a CVIS certified institution, or you recently were attending a CVIS certified institution in the United States, including a language school, high school, or another college or university, what you first need to do is request the release or the transfer of your CVIS record to UCR so we can actually go ahead to issue that I-20 for you. Now, you would be able to, you'd be eligible to transfer your CVIS record if the transfer occurs within your 60-day grace period. You will begin studies here at UCR within 5 months of completing studies at your previous or current institution, and you are in valid immigration F1 status. Now, to transfer your record, what you really need to do is communicate with a designated school official at your current or previous institution. In order to transfer your record, they're going to need to see that you've been officially accepted to UC Riverside. You also might need to fill out additional paperwork with your current school. A lot of schools have what's called a transfer out type of request form that you may need to fill out some information about when you want your record transferred to UC Riverside. In your I-20 packet, you do have a notice of intention to transfer document that you can use to help facilitate the transfer process. You'll see on the screen where the arrow is, it's pointing to the school code for UC Riverside. When your designated school official at your current or previous institution is transferring your record to UCR, it would be very helpful that they have this record so they know that they're transferring your record to the appropriate campus. If this is your first time applying to study here in the United States, or you are receiving a brand new I-20 with a new CVIS record and you are not a transfer student, then what you're going to have to do is complete the I-901 and pay the $200 CVIS fee before you're able to apply for your F1 student visa. You can go to fmjfee.com to complete the I-901. What you first need to do, though, is receive your I-20, because when you're filling out the CVIS I-901 form, you actually need to have the information from your I-20 in order to do that. It is very important that you go ahead and you complete this process before you apply for your student visa. You do need to bring your receipt with you to your F1 visa interview, and we do recommend that you also bring this receipt with you when you're entering the United States. Now, as far as applying for your F1 visa, you can go ahead and view appointment wait times and general information on the Department of State website, which is travel.state.gov. The form you're going to need to complete is the DS-160 application form. This is an interactive form, so when you're completing the form, the questions that you receive are going to be a little bit different depending on the way that you're answering them. So you want to make sure that you're very cautious when you're filling out the form and you're entering all of the information accurately. As far as your appointment, you want to contact your local consulate or embassy for your F1 visa interview. It's very important that you follow the instructions that are provided to you from that consulate or embassy, because there's a lot of great information about, applying for a visa in general, but you want to make sure that you're aware of what the specific requirements are and the specific procedures at that consulate or embassy, because not all of them work the same way. You may have a separate appointment for biometrics or a separate period in which you need to come and pick up your passport rather than have it mailed to you. So it's important to be aware of all the details of how the process is going to work, as well as all the different documents that you need to make sure that you have with you. Now, if you're not currently in F1 status and you have a different status and you wish to change your status within the United States, rather than apply for a visa at a U.S. consulate or embassy post in your home country, it's very important that you do contact the International Student Resource Center so we can provide you with some guidance regarding this process. Our email address is internationalcenter@ucr.edu. Now, regarding applying for a visa, there are several documents that you're going to need to have. The first thing, of course, is your passport. It needs to have at least 6 months remaining at least 3 blank visa pages. You're also going to need to have the DS-160 confirmation page, as well as any visa fee receipts and your CVIS fee receipt. You also need to have your original Form I-20. So as Liz was explaining, you do need to have your actual I-20. A photocopy or a scanned copy is not going to be sufficient for your visa interview. You do need to have proof of financial ability. So as you're going through the process to apply for your I-20 itself, you are providing this financial documentation. Be aware that you do need to present this financial documentation at your F1 visa interview as well. Another document that you're going to want to have is your letter of admission. You also want to make sure that you have documentation showing ties to your home country. Since an F1 visa is a non-immigrant intent visa, it's very important for you to be able to show that you have very strong ties and a very strong connection to your home country to ensure that your intention is to return back to your home country after completing your degree here at UCR. Also, if you've studied in the United States previously, it might be a good idea for you to also include documentation about your previous studies. So if you're transferring from a high school or community college or language program, it may be a good idea for you to bring transcripts or certificates showing you've completed the program, or letters from your DSO at your current or previous institution showing that you remained in good F1 status while you were here in the United States previously. Also, if you change your status in the United States previously, you'll want to make sure that you bring your I-797 approval notice to show that you did change your status in the United States in the past. As mentioned before, you do want to make sure that you review the consulate or embassy website of the location that you're going to interview at to make sure that you're aware of any specific requirements or any specific documents that you are required to bring to your interview. Now, some of you may be transfer students, as we talked about transferring your CVIS record. The question may arise, well, I already do have an F1 visa, so can I still use that same F1 visa to come for my studies at UC Riverside? Well, there definitely is potential for that. If your F1 visa is still valid, which means that you have unused entries and the date has not yet expired, then you should be able to use this same visa to return to the United States as long as the period of time in which you studied last to the time when you're going to be studying here at UCR does not exceed 5 months in length. If you have not studied in the United States for over 5 months, Department of State does recommend that you apply for a new F1 visa stamp. Now, even if your F1 visa is for a different institution, as long as it's still valid and 5 months haven't expired, it's okay for you to use that same visa stamp, even though it has a different institution's name on it. You do want to make sure, though, that you do not enter the United States using any other type of visa other than your F1 student visa. You do not want to enter in any other type of visa category or as a visa waiver applicant, because it will be very, very difficult for you to change your status to F1 before courses begin. Now we're going to talk a little bit about arrival to the U.S. The International Student Check-in and Document Review Session is the first required meeting as an incoming international student for this fall. The International Student Check-in and Document Review will be held on Monday, September 15th, and we need you to check in between 1:30 and 3 o'clock p.m. So it's going to be a rolling kind of check-in, but that is the first event that you are required to attend. So we ask that you do report to Riverside no later than Monday, September 15th. If you have an initial attendance I-20, so this is the first time that you've ever studied in the United States before, or maybe it's been over 5 months and you have a brand new record. If that's the case, then the earliest that you're eligible to enter the United States is August 29th. That's because the program start date on your I-20 is September 29th. And regulations allow you to enter the United States no earlier than 30 days before your program start date. Now, if you're a student who has transferred your record from another institution here in the United States, then the I-20 that you will receive or have received is a transfer pending I-20. So this is an I-20 that's issued in between completing your previous school and before starting your studies here at UCR. So with a transfer pending I-20, you're actually eligible to enter the United States really at any time before your program starts, keeping in mind that we do need you here for September 15th. Also, if you have a transfer pending I-20, you're not required to transfer. You can actually remain in the United States throughout the summer as well. Education USA offers pre-departure orientations. If this is your first time studying in the United States, we would encourage you to go ahead and view the link on the website here to Education USA to see if there's any type of pre-orientation departure programs in your home country. It would be very helpful for you to get some additional information and preparation for studying here in the United States. The next thing we're going to talk about is on-campus housing. Now, if you are applying to live here at UC Riverside on campus, hopefully you've already completed your online housing contract. If you haven't already done so, we'll need to encourage you to make sure that you do that right away. Now, if you're living in the residence halls, there's an early move-in date that's scheduled for Sunday, September 14th. As the first day that you're required to be here is September 15th, the residence halls are allowing a special move-in for incoming international students the day before. Now, when you complete your online housing contract, you do need to indicate that you are an international student and that you require the early move-in. What will happen then is you will be contacted by the housing department for further information regarding that additional early move-in contract. Now, there is an additional fee for the early move-in, and you will be charged a daily rate for that. One thing you do need to be aware of, though, is during this early move-in, there's no campus meal plan that's occurring as it would during the rest of the school year. There are campus restaurants and markets that are open throughout this period of time, but the time is a little bit more limited. So it's really important for you to be aware of the hours in which you're able to get food here on campus, and be aware that your official meal plan is not going to start until the start of the academic year. If you have any questions about housing, we've listed the website right here for housing. It's housing.ucr.edu. Also, if you have specific inquiries, you can contact the housing department at housinginfo@ucr.edu. Now, regarding housing in the United States in general, it's very important to be aware that when you are actually signing up for housing, whether it's on campus or someplace in the community, something that's involved with that is signing a contract or signing a lease. It's very important to recognize that these are legally binding documents. So if you're going to sign a lease for an apartment somewhere in Riverside, or you're going to sign the housing contract to live here on campus, it's very important that you read all of the details of that contract or that lease before you sign it, so you're aware of all of your obligations. There could be strict penalties associated with canceling a contract or a lease. So it's very important that you read all of the information very thoroughly before you make your decision and before you go ahead and sign the contract or the lease, because it is a legally binding document. The next thing we're going to discuss is health insurance and immunizations. So here at UC Riverside, we're very lucky because we have the Student Health Services, which actually has its own health insurance department located right inside. Health insurance coverage is mandatory at UCR. all international students and domestic students are automatically billed for health insurance. Now, the health insurance coverage for all incoming international students in F and J status will begin on September 15th. Since you're required to be here on September 15th, that is when your health insurance coverage is going to start. Now, if you plan on coming to the United States before September 15th, then we do highly recommend that you purchase some short-term health insurance that's going to cover you throughout that period of time. Once again, the insurance is mandatory. What will happen is your health insurance will be automatically billed to your UCR account, unless you go ahead and complete the process of waiving out of the health insurance. What you can do is you can view health insurance waiver information on the Student Health website, which is listed below, studenthealth.ucr.edu. You can find out what you would need to do to waive out. It does need to meet all of the requirements of the UCR health insurance plan. And if you're a J1 student, it would have to also meet all of the requirements of the Department of State as well. Now, additionally, students commonly ask about immunizations. Students who are going to be younger than 19 years of age on the first day of class are required to complete the UCR immunization form. The hepatitis B series must be started. There are currently no other immunization requirements for UCR students. However, we do recommend highly that you bring a copy of your immunization record with you to the United States so you have that information very handy. It's also very useful to provide to Student Health Services so they know what immunizations you have when you're being treated. Once again, you can go ahead and view the Student Health Services website at studenthealth.ucr.edu. On that, you'll find the health insurance waiver information as well as the UCR immunization form. Now we're going to review some important dates. As we've already discussed, the first date that you're going to be required to meet with us is September 15th. We're going to have the mandatory check-in and document review session. So once again, this is done on a rolling basis. So you're not required to be here from the whole period of time from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. However, you are expected to report sometime between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock p.m. The check-in and document review session will be held at the International Student Resource Center. Our International Student Resource Center is located in the University Village and suite number 204. Then from September 16th through 19th, we will have a variety of international student activities and welcome events. So you will have a lot of different things that will be going on throughout that week. Now on Tuesday, September 16th, will be the Analytical Writing Placement Exam, otherwise known as the AWPE. This will be held from 10 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m. in MSE room 104. Now, if you go to the UCR website and you view the information about the AWPE, you'll see that there's no registration required to take the test. However, there is a fee to take the test. So you can go ahead and go to the AWPE website on the UCR website to go ahead and pay that fee. You will need to bring the receipt for that fee with you to the test on that day. Additionally, the Mathematics Advisory Exam, or the MAE, will be held from 2 o'clock p.m. to 3 o'clock p.m., and the location is still yet to be determined. There is no registration that's available yet at this time. However, we will provide you with an update as soon as you are able to register online for the MAE. On Wednesday, September 17th, there will be a required lecture for students who are in the College of Humanities, arts, and social sciences. The time and the location of this required lecture will be announced at a later time. Make sure to continue to check your UCR email for any type of important updates. Then as far as orientation goes, there are 2 separate orientation dates. So it's very important that you're aware of which orientation date you're going to attend. So on Thursday, September 17th, this is the mandatory international student orientation for undergraduate freshmen. So if this is your first year of college or university, you're going to attend this international student orientation. It will be held from 9 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. We ask you to check in at 8:15 a.m. The orientation will be held in the Highlander Union Building, room 302, which is up on the 3rd floor. Now, if you're an undergraduate transfer student or a reciprocity student, then you're going to attend the mandatory international student orientation on Friday, September 19th. The times are the same though. We do need you to be here at 8:15 a.m. for check-in, and the orientation itself will run from 9 o'clock a.m. until 5 o'clock p.m. in Hub Room 302. Now, throughout the rest of this week, and actually up until the time classes start, we will have a variety of settling in trips, as well as a lot of fun activities. So you're able to connect with our international peer advisors, as well as connect with other new international students who will be attending UCR as well. So additionally, the fall quarter itself will begin on September 29th. Now, there's other orientations that you're going to need to attend, and those orientations are held for your specific college. So be aware that your college will also connect with you to let you know when you do need to attend these mandatory orientations as well. Now, even though the quarter begins on September 29th, your instruction date will actually begin on Thursday, October 2nd. If you have questions about additional types of important dates coming up regarding academics, you can go ahead and view those dates and information on the UCR schedule of classes calendar. All right, so a little bit more about our check-in and document review session. Yay, this will be the first time that we get to meet with you. Once again, this is going to be on Monday, September 15th from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock p.m. It'll be done on a rolling basis. It'll be held at the International Student Resource Center, which is in the University Village, suite number 204. So on this day, what we need you to bring with you are several documents. Okay, we need you to bring your International Student Personal Record Form. You also need to bring your original documents as well as clear copies of your documents. These documents include your UCR I-20, which you want to make sure that you've clearly signed on the bottom of page 1, any previous I-20s that you've been issued in the United States, your passport, your F1 visa stamp, and your I-94 printout or card. You can find further details about this information in the pre-departure PDF that was sent to you in your UCR email account. Now for the International Student Orientation, once again for freshmen, which will be held on September 18th, or for transfer students on September 19th, we do need you to check in the Highlander Union Building at 8:15 a.m. During the orientation, we're going to go through a lot of very, very important information. We'll be covering F1 regulations and how you maintain your status as an international student while studying at UCR. We'll discuss cultural adjustment, health insurance and using the health services on campus and off campus, campus safety, academic integrity, making friends and getting involved here on campus, how to connect with your academic advisor, as well as a variety of campus resources that are available to you as a UCR student. You can also find further information about the International Student Orientation in your pre-departure PDF. Now, sometimes students have questions about, well, what orientation am I supposed to attend? I see that there's Highlander orientation, there's International Student Orientation. Do I need to attend both of them? Okay, it's important to recognize that all F1 and J1 international students are required to attend International Student Orientation. International orientation is mandatory. However, we do recommend that you also attend Highlander orientation or Highlander orientation for transfer students if your visa status allows you to attend the event. As we discussed, if you have an initial attendance I-20, the earliest you will be able to enter the United States in F1 status is 30 days before your program starts. In that case, you would not be eligible to attend Highlander orientation. However, if you're a transfer student or you're actually changing your status in the United States, we would recommend that you go ahead and attend Highlander orientation in addition to International Student Orientation. You do want to make sure that you go ahead and you register for International Student Orientation and Highlander Orientation if you choose to attend in the Highlander Orientation database. So at the International Student Resource Center, we do offer a variety of different resources for international students. We mainly do advising and programming. For advising, we advise you regarding your F1 regulations and maintaining status, adjusting to culture in the United States, employment options, how to navigate the governmental and campus procedures, as well as building positive relationships in the campus and community. The programs that we have are international student peer advisors. We have a group of about 50 students who are domestic or international students who have volunteered a year of their time to assist other international students with getting adjusted to life here in the United States. We also have additional programs called the Global Connections Partner Program, Friendship Families, Exploring California Series, International Game Night, and International Women's Exchange. You will receive an email from the International Student Resource Center on a weekly basis that will list all of the upcoming activities so you're aware of all of the different things that you're able to participate in. You can also view more information about the International Student Resource Center on our website, which is internationalcenter.ucr.edu. So our next webinar we're going to hold will be on August 5th. Now during this webinar, we'll be discussing academic advising, testing, and course registration. I know a lot of times students have a lot of questions about how to register for classes. Just to give you a heads up, for new students, the registration period will be from August 18th through 22nd. For transfer students, your registration period will be from August 25th through August 28th. So the information about registering for classes on August 5th will be very important for you. We will also discuss your arrival and settling into your new home here in Riverside. We'll be giving you tips about Riverside and letting you know about your community that you'll be joining. And we're also going to have some tips from your peers as well. Now, what we're going to go ahead and provide you with is some important contact information. Since UC Riverside is a large campus and there's many different offices here on campus, it can sometimes be a little bit confusing to know who to contact about your questions. We've listed here a few different offices that you would potentially have questions and would want to contact sometime throughout this process. So the first one here is undergraduate admissions. If you have questions about your admission status, submitting your I-20 request packet, or the issuance and mailing or picking up of your Form I-20, you can contact undergraduate admissions at internationalinfo@ucr.edu, or you can contact your admissions counselor directly with your specific questions. If you have questions about international student orientation, applying for your F1 student visa, or changing your status to F1 in the United States, then you can contact the International Student Resource Center at internationalcenter@ucr.edu. If you have questions about UCR campus housing services, your options, applying for the early move-in, you can contact Housing Services at housinginfo@ucr.edu. If you have specific questions about coursework or what placement tests you need to take, then it's really important that you contact your UCR academic advisor, as they are the ones who are going to provide you with academic counseling here while you're at UCR. You can find your academic advisor by going to your college website and viewing the list of your majors and finding your specific advisor there. Be careful to look at the list thoroughly, since a lot of advisors are broken up by last name, so it's very important to look at that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and leave this important contact information up for you so you have that available. But we do have some time to take some questions. So if you have any specific inquiries that we can address for you right now, you can go ahead and ask those questions.
So if we don't have any questions, just some reminders for you all. I know Becky talked about orientation and international orientation, which I hope you don't confuse with domestic regular Highlander orientation. So you should have started receiving emails early on when you first submitted your statement of intent to register if you're a freshman, reminding you to attend orientation during the month of July, and for transfers to attend orientation during the month of August. These orientations are not mandatory and not to be confused with international orientation. International orientation, as Becky stated, is mandatory for anybody entering on an F1 visa. For those students who may be on an initial I-20, you probably won't be able to attend freshman orientation if you're a freshman, or transfer orientation. It's okay, it's not required. For anybody who may be on a transfer I-20 and will be in the country during the month of July, then you are required to attend freshman orientation. Freshman orientation is a requirement for any freshman who will be in the country. In addition, you would still have to attend international orientation. So if you're confused on any of this process, please contact our office directly so that we can better assist you and walk you through that process. Maybe you're planning to go back home during the month of July to go visit family or whatever it may be, and you cannot attend orientation during July. Contact us so we can waive that for you. But again, you're still required to attend international orientation in the month of September. Okay, so if there are any questions regarding international orientation, you want to contact Becky. If there's any questions regarding any other orientation, any confusion you might experience, you want to contact undergraduate admissions, and then the contact information is up for you. One other reminder regarding your I-20 form, your Form I-20 packet. The deadline for that, there is no specific deadline. But we do hope and encourage students to get their Form I-20 packets turned into us as soon as possible. We understand that you have to make flight reservations, you have to go to the consulate, there's things you have to do. So the sooner you get those forms turned into us, the sooner we can process and issue an I-20. If possible, please try to get those documents into us by July 15th. I know that deadline is quickly approaching, and that is the document deadline that we hold for other students. So we encourage you to get the documents, if possible, in by that point. If for some reason you're missing a document, you can't get everything in, then send what you can in, and then send what the rest that you're missing later on. Your packet will still be marked incomplete, but at least we could get a head start on entering your information in the system. I'm not sure if we have any other questions here. But if there's no other questions and then nothing else you'd like to add, Becky, we're going to end this recording. However, you'll have this available to you if at any point you decide, you know what, maybe I do have questions or I didn't think about this at the time. Our information is there for you again. Please contact undergraduate admissions for any admission related questions. And then our International Student Resource Center is here to assist you with any international admissions questions, what's next after I get my 20 questions, or you can just contact us and we'll transfer you to the appropriate person. So we appreciate you so much in attending today's webinar, and we do encourage you again to attend the webinar that will be taking place in the month of August. And we look forward to speaking and seeing you guys soon. Thank you.
Bye.